Recording in progress.
There will now be a moment for silent prayer or meditation. Thank you very much, honorable members. You may take your seats. His Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa, Honorable Paul Mashatile, honorable delegates to the NCOP. Today we dedicate this sitting as we bow our heads in silence to the memory following the news last night of the passing of one of Africa's most celebrated and globally renowned literary and cultural figure, Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Ngugi wa Thiong'o espoused the political philosophy of liberation through his struggles for decolonization, especially as a preeminent scholar on the politics of language in literature and education, a subject very relevant to the business of government, parliament, and as well as our legislatures. As a literary scholar, Ngugi wa Thiong'o was particularly concerned with the impact of colonization and through what he termed a form of dismemberment on Africa's people from the community of nations as well as from self. The Ngugi illustrated through the analogy of cultural bomb that was detonated, whose effect annihilated a people's belief in their names, in their language, in their environment, in their heritage of struggle, in their unity, in their capacities, and ultimately in themselves. This cultural bomb makes them see their past as one wasteland of non-achievement, and it makes them want to distance themselves from that wasteland. It makes them want to identify with that which is furthest removed from themselves, for instance, other people's languages rather than their own. It even plants serious doubt about the moral righteousness of their struggle. Possibilities of triumph or victory are seen as remote, ridiculous dreams. The intended results are despair, despondency, and a collective death wish. To these honorable members, we shall celebrate this literary giant who said what he meant and meant what he said, by ensuring the deepening phenomenon of linguicide as the deliberate destruction of a people's language through forced assimilation never exerts its influence over our people, especially our youth. We commit through the conduct of all legislative businesses, especially in the translation of bills to African languages, to ensure plurality so that our people never lose their capacity and ultimately confidence in their history, their future, and themselves. Shall we be on our feet and bow our heads in remembrance of this fallen hero? May his soul rest in eternal peace. Mayibuye i-Afrika. Honorable members, we are graced by our guests in our gallery, our newlyweds, hailing all the way from Mauritius. They are here to enjoy their honeymoon. As they enjoyed their honeymoon, Deputy President, they wanted to come to see your face and listen to you as you are accounting to the people of South Africa to experience first-hand democracy at play in the house of the NCOP. These special guests of ours, they happen to be related to one of us honorable members. Emily is a niece to Honorable Badenhorst, as well as Alex is the nephew of Honorable Badenhorst. May we take this opportunity We take this opportunity and congratulate them on their newly wedding. We wish you the best of luck. As Africans, as the mother-in-law, our expectation would be in your marriage, you must give us at most 10 children. If you failed, at least 5. That's our culture. Having said that, you are more than welcome. Do feel free. This is your house, the NCOP of the people of South Africa. We will then go straight to the order paper of the day. Otherwise, honorable member, I would also wish to start by reminding your good self of the rules that are applicable in the House, which is Rule 103, particularly the sub-rule 21, 22, and 23. In accordance with the Council Rule 229, sub-rule 1, there will be no notices of motion and motions without notice. Honorable delegates, before we proceed to question, once again, would like to take this opportunity, Honorable Deputy President, and your entire entourage, and welcome you to the NCOP, as well as the permanent delegates, the MECs who have joined in virtually, as well as our special delegates, SALGA representatives to the House. Further, I would like to remind delegates that in terms of Rule 229 of the Council rules, the time to reply by the Deputy President to the question is 5 minutes. Only 4 supplementary questions are allowed per question. A member who has asked the initial question would be the first to ask a follow-up question to the Deputy President. The time for asking a supplementary question is only 2 minutes. The time for reply to a supplementary question allocated to the DP is 4 minutes. The supplementary question must emanate from the initial question that was asked. I now call upon our Deputy President to respond to question number 7. Which is asked by Honorable Chief Whip, our Honorable Chief Whip Muimang. Over to you, Deputy President.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Let me thank Honorable Muimang for the question. We have welcomed the 2024 South Africa Social Cohesion Index, SACSI, that was released on the 5th of February this year. And we are now implementing the recommendations of the report. The SACSI research report offered us a sense of where we stand as a country in our collective journey towards cohesion and nation building. Equally, the index offers valuable insights into the nation's strengths and challenges, highlighting areas of progress and those requiring urgent attention. Guided by the index, we are now developing targeted strategies and policies that promote inclusivity, equity, and tolerance amongst all citizens, thereby enhancing society's overall well-being. We also welcome the observations of the SACSI that over the last 30 years of democracy, South Africa has made significant strides towards building a united, non-racial and non-sexist society and improving the lives of all its people. In this regard, we have worked together to establish a progressive constitutional order, expand access to social infrastructure and services to millions of people, and set our economy on a path of reform. However, our country is once again at a crossroad with uncertainty as to where it will go tomorrow. The economic and social legacy of our past persists. The political environment is conflictual. The economy is not growing fast enough. Poverty is widespread, and there is a growing sense of social discontent and alienation. It is time to reset and reimagine our country for posterity. This must be done by South African citizens themselves through a process of purpose-directed, courageous conversations. Hence, the envisaged national dialogue that will be focusing on the following critical areas: economic transformation, inclusion and empowerment, poverty, inequality and hunger, governance and a capable ethical developmental state, crime and lawlessness, nation building and social cohesion, advancing constitutional rights and principles, promoting progressive values, that is moral regeneration, participatory democracy and active citizenry, and lastly but not least, land reform and food security. Honorable Chairperson, in addition to these critical matters, we are also addressing social ills such as gender-based violence and femicide, racism, crime, corruption, in support of promoting and strengthening social cohesion. This work is led by the JCPS, including the Department of Women, Youth, and People with Disabilities. The Department of Sports, Arts, and Culture is also implementing various programs and activities that includes community conversations and dialogue programs. Through these programs, communities from diverse social, racial, political, and religious background get a platform to discuss complex and sensitive issues that foster social cohesion. Furthermore, the Department of Social Development is implementing men and boys championing change programs. Honorable Chairperson, in conclusion, through the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, the government is leading initiatives to promote the importance of the value of the Constitution, constitutional democracy, and the Bill of Rights. This includes dialogues aimed at increasing and deepening constitutionalism, respect for human rights, and the rule of law, especially amongst the most vulnerable and marginalized people. I thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. I'll now afford Honorable Muimang an opportunity to ask a supplementary question to the Deputy President.
Ke re tlile modulasetulo wa ntlo ya bosetšhaba ya kgaolo ya di-province. Ke boe ke tseye tlotlo ya kae golo ke lebise go motlatsa president wa naga ya rona le maloko a ntlo ya kgaolo ya di-province. Thank you, Honorable Deputy President, for reassuring the public that indeed the values as enshrined in our constitution in terms of the rule of law is sacrosanct. However, there seems to be a semblance of opposition to government efforts that is beginning to emerge to undermine the effort on the part of the government to address the historical inequalities and promotion of economic transformation agenda, among others, the issues of Black economic empowerment, preferential procurement, and even the extent of undermining the expropriation of land. But recently, the gazetted review of broad-based Black economic empowerment licensing requirements for satellite services companies to address economic inequalities and promote the participation of previously disadvantaged groups. And this is beginning to send a message, DP, that there is beginning to emerge an semblance of undermining the agenda of transformation by certain members of the cabinet in terms of undermining the agenda to transform our country. So now the question is, what mechanism is the cabinet putting in place, or measures that the cabinet is putting in place to defend this agenda of transformation? Thank you, DP.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chief Whip. Honorable Deputy President, you may respond.
Thank you very much, Honorable Moemang. Firstly, let me indicate that there are a number of programs that are in place and a number of measures that we have put in place to ensure that we advance transformation in the country. You have correctly quoted the BEE Act that is in place to ensure that we empower those previously disadvantaged. That act is currently being implemented by government departments, and also efforts are being made at the moment to ensure that we also ensure proper reforms for our procurement policies in order to advance BEE, which is really what is focusing on those previously disadvantaged to come into the mainstream of the economy. Secondly, we now have the National Development Plan that is in place that is going to also ensure that we advance transformation. You've also quoted the Expropriation Act to ensure that we do redress, particularly to ensure that people have access to land, to be able to farm, to build their houses, and so on. Yes, indeed, there is a concern that there are those who seek to undermine some of these transformative pieces of legislation that have been passed, particularly by the previous administration. But the government is quite resolute that those pieces of legislation, those laws that were passed by the previous administration must be implemented because they were passed by Parliament. So we are quite resolute on that. Indeed, if someone wants to ensure that they want to make some changes on any of these laws, that must then come to Cabinet and then back to Parliament. There will be no shortcut because laws are made and passed by Parliament, and it is this Parliament, both the National Assembly and the NCOP, that are safeguarding our laws. And therefore, we have made it clear to all the ministers, should you come across something you want to change, something that you have observed that needs to be changed, you have to follow that process back to Cabinet and back to Parliament. But laws that were passed will not be willy-nilly changed. Thank you very much, Honorable Moimani, for that question. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. We do have follow-up questions to the question that was asked by Honorable Moimang. I will take the first one from Honorable Andrianse.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Deputy President. Considering the sensitive and complex nature of racial and social divisions in our society, what safeguards or strategies will the government implement to ensure that the national dialogues remain constructive, prevent polarization, or superficial engagements, and ultimately lead to tangible policy actions that effectively address long-standing inequalities and promote genuine social cohesion and economic growth. Thank you.
Honorable Deputy President, you may respond.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Andreas, for the question. The national dialogue that is being envisaged is to ensure that we take all South Africans to one direction, to continue to build a non-racial, non-sexist, and democratic South Africa. So you're quite right that we don't want a national dialogue that will leave anybody behind, because the objective of the national dialogue is to continue to unite South Africans, to ensure that we identify issues that we need to address to the benefit of all South Africans. That's why we want to deal in the national dialogue with the issue of the economy. How do we grow an inclusive economy? How do we deal with issues of corruption, issues of crime, issues of poverty, issues of empowerment of the previously disadvantaged? So all these issues will be on the agenda of the national dialogue, which the President will announce in due course as to when it will convene. But the important thing is that as we prepare for the national dialogue, we have realized that there are a number of NGOs in South Africa that are very interested in this matter. We want them to participate. So this is not going to be a government-driven program. It's a program that is going to include everybody. Civil society is going to get involved, governments, sporting bodies, churches, traditional leaders. So we're going to bring everybody on board so that we reimagine a kind of South Africa that we all want, that we will build together. And that's really the objectives of the national dialogue, as I indicated earlier, that it will be announced by the President once we are ready. We're not sure yet when it will take place, but the President will announce. But we do have a committee in government, interministerial committee that is beginning to pull government programs together. And that committee is going to interface with other role players, particularly civil society that already is engaging on this program. But thank you very much for the question, and we will be able to say more on how this will be managed once it's convened. We were just waiting for the President to make announcement as to when it will be held, and then we will indicate how it will be run. But we are hoping that almost all South Africans from all walks of life, including political parties, will have an opportunity to participate in this national dialogue. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. I now call upon Honorable Siwisa to ask the Deputy President the follow-up question.
No, thank you, Chair, and greetings, Deputy President. Deputy President, the report states that social cohesion tends to be lower in provinces where more households perceive themselves as poor and higher in provinces where more people objectively fall below the poverty line. It further states that it is lower in provinces with larger inequalities in income. Deputy President, given that inequality is still a real problem in South Africa and that, in fact, income inequalities has grown in the past 30 years, as a large number of our people are unemployed and those who are employed earn very low wages. What efforts have you taken since coming into office to change the pattern of income inequality in the country? Thank you, Chairperson.
Deputy President, you may respond.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Suisa. The observation is quite correct that it's very difficult to ensure social cohesion, particularly in areas where there's abject poverty, extreme levels of inequality. So one of the things that we have done since I came to office, the president said, look, we need to firstly address issues of service delivery in many areas of our country. We know there are areas where people have challenges of access to clean drinkable water. There are areas where people are far from amenities that they need to serve them. So we need to address those. And that's the reason why the President, Honorable Suisa, introduced what today we call the district development model, because that forces us to work with provinces and municipalities to address this challenge. Yes, indeed, social cohesion requires that we also address our cultural differences as a nation. That's why the Ministry of Sports and Arts and Culture is very key in this regard. But you can't be able to implement this program successfully unless you address these challenges of poverty and inequality. So growing the economy remains key, making sure that everybody have opportunities to be able to make a living, make sure that people have opportunities to access basic services, just basic services. And that's why the district development model is now being rolled out throughout the country. I have myself traveled many parts of the country now, in the Free State, in Limpopo, in Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, Mpumalanga, Northwest. And what we are doing really is to ensure that we address these challenges, ensure that people have access to services, also create employment opportunities at the local level. When we have problems in townships and in some of the rural villages of roads or potholes, create opportunities there for people to work. Let them be the ones who are building the rural roads, the township roads, closing the potholes, because then they have opportunities to make income and be able to deal with poverty in those areas. So all these programs that we are coming up with, we're pushing them down to local authorities, even to rural areas, to make sure that the people can benefit. So that's what we are doing, and we are pushing very hard that the municipalities must work with us, particularly the executive mayors of the various municipalities in those local areas. But others, thank you very much for the question, and thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Deputy President, for the response. The last follow-up question on this question is from Honorable Mokoena.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good day, Deputy President. The Social Cohesion Index highlights quite deep and worrying fractures in our society. And in light of the recent gazette that seeks to undermine the transformation agenda of this country, what have you, as the leader in government business, done to ensure that the minister who gazetted that is held accountable and is able to actually conform to the transformation agenda which we seek to establish as a country? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mkwena. Over to you, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Mkwena, I was not sure which minister you're referring to. If you can help me.
The Minister of Communication and Digital Technologies, the BEE gazette, the gazette that was done to undermine the transformation agenda in terms of BEE.
Or the recent issue?
Yes, the recent one.
Oh, I see. Yeah, well, Honorable Mkwena, let me just indicate that we don't have a problem if any minister from whatever party feels that there is something that they've identified that needs to be changed, whether to be strengthened, etc. But there are processes to follow. One of the processes that must be followed is that when you are a minister and you come across something that has to do with legislation in particular, you need to come to cabinet and say, Cabinet, I found out that this piece of legislation is not actually enhancing transformation, is inhibiting it. And I think we should change it in this manner or that manner. Then cabinet will then, once cabinet agrees, then those changes can be factored in, and then, of course, if it's legislation, it requires to come back to Parliament, to the National Assembly, and the NCOP. So with respect to the issue you are referring to, you will recall that the minister has already appeared before the portfolio committee, and all those questions were raised, that the minister need to follow a particular process to be able to deal with this matter. Because it may well be that as a minister, once you have made your determination, cabinet may not agree that you are right. So that's why we must come back to cabinet. So we are waiting for the minister to come, because that issue, if you recall, it's in the law. And that was the point that was made, that all the companies that need to operate in that space, if you go to the ICASA Act, that matter is in the law. So the 30% ownership for people who want licenses is in the law. So you can't change it through regulations. It's in the law. There's no minister who has any power to change any law through regulations. So the minister, if he insists that there's something that needs to be changed, will come to cabinet, because it's now tinkering with the law. So that is where we are. Nothing will be changed unless cabinet decide it should be so. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Swiss.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President. We are now moving to question 8, which has been asked by Honorable Badenhorst in relation with the impactful measures that you have coordinated to address issues of anti-poverty, job creation, and reducing unemployment, the poverty levels, since you've been appointed. Over to you, Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Let me thank Honorable Badenos for raising this question. The daunting task of combating poverty and unemployment necessitates a collective societal effort involving both government, civil society, business, and private sector participation. The government is implementing a comprehensive strategy to reduce poverty, including economic development, income support, human capital investment, and basic services, as envisaged in our National Development Plan that I indicated earlier. Our program includes social welfare, which promote interdepartmental cooperation to improve access to healthcare, affordable housing, and education. Municipalities are also providing support to local communities that require assistance in the form of subsidies for water and electricity needs. These interventions also extend to human settlements and other social welfare services. President Cyril Ramaphosa has recently launched the second phase of Operation Vulindlela, aimed at boosting job creation and economic growth by implementing structural reforms across several key areas, including digital transformation, local government performance, and also addressing spatial inequalities. Honorable Chairperson, our government is actively combating poverty through social grants programs offered by SASSA that are aimed at reducing hunger and poverty amongst the lower income groups. These grants are essential for mitigating economic risks for the most vulnerable, as poverty levels would be significantly worse without them. SASSA has already allocated more than 285 billion rands for social grants for the 2025-26 financial year, with the objective of providing direct cash transfers to approximately more than 27 million eligible beneficiaries. It is crucial to emphasize that government has increased the value of each social grant by a greater amount, more than inflation, at the rate of 3.2%. To this end, when delivering the budget last week, the Minister of Finance announced an old age grant increase by 120 rand to now 2,310 from April this year. And this amount is set to increase once again in October of this year, as originally announced in March. In addition to this intervention, the Department of Social Development and FinMec Trust have collaborated on a pilot project for generating better livelihoods, aiming to connect social grant beneficiaries to sustainable economic opportunities. This initiative includes job opportunities, entrepreneurship support, financial inclusion programs, particularly for child support recipients. Government aims to reduce social grant dependency by encouraging labor participation, promoting economic growth, and expanding skills and opportunities and employment opportunities, while focusing on the most vulnerable populations for targeted grant distribution. Honorable Chairperson, with regard to creating more job opportunities, we have implemented several programs that are already yielding results. The Presidential Youth Employment Intervention, Youth Employment Service, the Presidential Employment Stimulus, and the expanded public works programs. In conclusion, these programs are targeted at creating the much needed jobs, provide training and skills development, and support businesses in creating employment opportunities, particularly for the youth, women, and people with disabilities. Together with the private sector, we can fight unemployment and eradicate poverty in our communities. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. I'm now inviting Honorable Baden-Horst to ask the Deputy President a supplementary question, if there's any.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Deputy President, thank you for that answer, but unfortunately none of that is new to us in this House. We've heard this before. So my question to you would be, after all these years, why should the public believe these interventions are working when the harsh reality on the ground is that over 32 million South Africans live below the upper bound poverty line and unemployment remains above 40%, in the expanded definition. Thank you.
Over you to Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Badenos, for the follow-up. The interventions are there, are being implemented. Obviously, some of them are going to take a bit of time to realize the objectives that we want. You must understand that, as we grow the economy in this country, we are also affected by other externalities because we're not operating as an island. Currently, the global economy is not growing as fast as it should. In fact, we've seen a decline in global growth, which already is impacting on what we do. You'll recall that the president had announced that in the medium term, we would like to achieve more than 3% growth in our economy. But because of the current challenges now, National Treasury had to revise the growth projections down to now 1% growth in this financial year. So it means it's quite difficult in the economic sector. And once you have those pressures in the economic sector where your economy is not growing as fast as you want to, it then affects all these initiatives that we are having. But those programs that I mentioned, most of them are reaching to many young people. The presidential youth program, stimulus program, is reaching up to 1.5 million young people. The expanded public works is also reaching out to many people in the local areas. But at the end, it brings us back to the issue of growing the economy and growing it as fast as we can. That's why through Operation Vulindlela, we are now focusing on reforms that will help us to expand and revamp growth. And one of those is to ensure that we focus on the ease of doing business, remove red tape, make sure that companies can get licenses faster, and be able to get faster into productivity. So what I will say, Honorable Badenos, is that these programs will work. They are working, but the impact will be felt when the economic growth begin to grow faster and more than where it is now. So we're still going to push. We're not going to give up on trying to reach high levels of growth up to 3% in the medium term. But it is not going to be easy because of the situation that is taking place globally. Many economies are currently depressed, and therefore the global economy has been declining and affecting all economies throughout the country. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Badenos.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. We are now moving to the follow-up question. And the next speaker is Honorable Dlangisa Notata.
Thank you, Chairperson. Greetings to the Deputy President.
Greetings.
Honorable Deputy President, the Transformation Fund is one of the recent critical measures that are intended to serve a strategic vehicle for investment to foster innovation and drive growth, which will ultimately have a major impact in the fight against poverty and unemployment, especially youth unemployment, which is at its highest since 1994. My question is, what measures are in place to ensure that the economic cluster meets the targets set in the Transformation Fund, especially the procurement of goods and services that will expand spending aimed at supporting African and Black enterprises in townships and rural South Africa led by women, youth, people with disabilities, and are the plans to publish periodic reviews of these targets and their contribution in creating employment opportunities and building sustainable poverty alleviation measures? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable. I'm now handing over to you, Deputy President, to respond.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Langisano Tata. Yes, the Transformation Fund, as you would recall when it was launched recently, we indicated that we want to close the gaps. This is a fund of about 100 billion rands that is run by the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition. But we agreed with them that these interventions are going to also be driven from the presidency. Since we've agreed that the presidency is now the center of government, to ensure that we are able to push for economic growth. So the gaps that we want to close really around empowerment of those previously disadvantaged. We want to bring more Black people into the economy. We want to bring more women into the economy, young people, the youth into the economy. So this fund is going to assist to fund those initiatives by entrepreneurs. Because you see, many people, when faced with the problem of unemployment, poverty, they all want to queue for government grants, etc. We are giving them the opportunity to go into business, to come with business initiative. They will then benefit from this fund to be able to employ other people. This fund will assist to ensure that people get trained, because running businesses is not just easy. So training is going to be part of that to ensure that these ventures that are going to be initiated are successful. So you're quite right. There will be periodic reviews by the Department of Trade and Industry on how this will work. The other good thing with this fund is that it's a joint venture between government and the private sector. So what we have done is that the fund will be run by both government and the private sector. So there will be a board that will be appointed from people from government and the private sector, and that board will then take the responsibility for the dispersal of funds to programs that are approved and make sure that there's accountability, there's transparency, to ensure that the funds are directed to where they are properly needed. So we have committed already as government. The private sector has come in and also agreed to come on board. And together, we will then ensure that these funds are used to achieve this objective of empowering entrepreneurs who will come into the economy with real ventures that are going to help grow the economy, but also, importantly, to create job opportunities. Thank you very much, Honorable Nodata. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thanks, Deputy President. We're now proceeding to the next follow-up question, which will be asked by Honorable Gerike.
Thank you, Chairperson. Deputy President, earlier this month, Stats SA released a quarterly labor survey which showed that the unemployment rate has increased to 32.9%, confirming that 1 in every 3 South Africans is without work, which is evidence that you, along with your GNGU partners, have failed to put in place any practical or believable, credible plans in place to create jobs and address the crisis of unemployment in this country. And you have, for a period of over 30 years, failed to make a dent in eradicating poverty and inequality. Instead, the government has concentrated resources to alleviate poverty by SASSA and SRD, for instance. What new interventions should the hopeless masses look forward to that the GNU will bring to eradicate poverty and introduce real empowerment programs to our people? Thank you very much.
Over to you, Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Gerike, for the question. No, Honorable Gerike, we have not failed. The Government of National Unity has just started. And one of its biggest priorities is growing the economy, inclusive economy. So we've started with that program. All the government departments are guided by this program of ensuring that we grow the economy. So growing the economy, or rather, let me say an inclusive economy, is priority number 1 of this government. And we are putting in place all measures to ensure that we succeed. We are aware of high levels of unemployment, and that is something that we are confronting. All departments of government now are making sure that they fast-track implementation. We said with the President to all the ministers, you have plans, you have programs, focus on implementation now. So the issue now in government is to ensure that we focus on implementation and not focus on development of policies and programs. The focus is implementation. And we are quite convinced that most of the programs we are putting in place now will assist us. That's why there is a positive outlook in terms of growth, although I said earlier that is not at the level that we want. 1% growth in the economy is not enough to deal with the challenges that we face. We are not saying SASSA will resolve the problems of poverty in this country, but it's an important intervention for people at the lower level of the economic table in our country. So we should not undermine that intervention. I said earlier that many South Africans at the lower level are able to get these grants and they assist them in their daily living. So whilst we will continue to put a lot of resources to grow the economy, this intervention of grants remain critical. That's why I think we must commend the Minister of Finance for having increased the grants. I don't think we must undermine that. You know, that increase of 120 rand is very important for poor people. I know that sometimes we feel, 120 rand. It's for poor people, it's very important. And as I said, the minister said later in the year, he will also increase again. But remember, Honorable Gerike, that the minister did say that in the next 3 years, in the medium term, he's putting 940 billion rands in economic development. It's close to R1 trillion that will go into the economy to sort up our ports, our rail lines, our roads, and those interventions are going to create jobs. So we should not undermine that. Thank you very much, Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Ferrick.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. The next follow-up question is asked by Honorable van den Berg.
Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Deputy President, on this Ascension Day, we are made aware again of the fact that we have a problem of Ubuntu, or rather the lack of Ubuntu in South Africa. We are not transforming because the full potential of the country has not been unlocked, and also because those that have reaped the benefits of this transformation agenda is not sharing wealth with their own countrymen, becoming an elite unto their own. As long as we exclude our own countrymen, we will never be a collective nor be blessed. Deputy President, how can we walk away from exclusionary legislations and become a government for all its citizens, or will we continue to cut off our nose to spite our face and hide behind hand-selected boards and funds?
Thank you very much. That was a comment, Deputy President, not necessarily a question to it.
Yes.
So I would give you that latitude, whether you want to respond to the comment as made by the honorable member, or you may decide not to.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. You're quite right. The question from Honorable van der Berg is it's a statement that I don't agree with anyway, unless he can point to me which of our laws are exclusionary. I don't know of any. So maybe he'll have an opportunity to give me information of which law is this. I don't know, honorable members, maybe you know it, I don't. So I am unable to answer because
Chairperson, on a point of
all our
order.
laws are for all South Africans to benefit all South Africans. I don't know any law that excludes anybody.
Chairperson, on a point of order.
What are you raising on, Honorable?
Yes,
Van den Berg?
Chairperson, I can simply say to the Deputy President, what about the spaza shops that's only meant for the black
Honorable Van der
townships?
Berg. Honorable,
Spaza shop fund.
can you please
That's
take
one of
your
the
seat?
144
Can you
laws
please
raised
take
by-
your seat, Honorable van den Berg. You have raised a statement of which the deputy has made an expression about what you missed an opportunity. You should have been direct to the question other than coming with something that is way outside the scope of the question that was asked. So therefore, Deputy President, you are not under obligation to take the second follow-up question from Honorable van den Berg. Having said that, we are now proceeding to the next question, which is question number 3. Initially, the question was asked by Honorable Makesini. She's not in the house today. She has, however, requested Honorable Keza to stand in for him. Deputy President, the question is in relation to the implementation of the rapid response intervention on service delivery, as to whether are there any actions taken to address the chronic underperformance and service delivery failures in water and sanitation, particularly in rural and peri-urban areas where communities lack access to clean water and functional sanitation infrastructure. You may respond, Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you to Honorable Makesini in absentia, and thank you to Honorable Keza who will deal with the question. Honorable Chairperson, the issue of service delivery remains our top priority as government. Hence, in my capacity as the chairperson of the Water Task Team, constituted by Ministers of Water Sanitation, COGTA, Human Settlement, Land Reform and Rural Development, and Infrastructure South Africa, we are focusing on addressing water challenges together with municipalities. As part of the government's effort to address underperformance and service delivery failures in water and sanitation services, we recently hosted the National Water and Sanitation Indaba, which was held on the 27-28 of March this year. Together with SALGA, provincial local government, we agreed that we must focus on the implementation of the following critical areas: delivery, implementation models, increasing investment through financing options, and ensuring the financial viability of this sector, enhancing and strengthening technical and operational capacity and efficiency, building partnerships through building water-sensitive and resilient communities. Lastly, but not least, fighting criminality and corruption in the water and sanitation sector. As honorable members who know, we've got what they call water mafia tankers, those kind of people. In taking forward the outcomes of the National Water and Sanitation Indaba, the Ministry of Water and Sanitation, on behalf of the Water Task Team, is not just doing site visit, but also intervening where there are water infrastructure-related challenges. The approach is to intervene at the source, at the last mile, so that we can save water, whether it's because of problems of leakages, old infrastructure, etc. But more critically, deliver quality water in rural and urban areas of our country. No village or township household must lack access to quality water. To this end, the Minister of Water and Sanitation, Honorable Majodina, presided over the reopening of the Lesotho Highlands Water Project Tunnel last week, Sunday, after the tunnel was closed in October of 2024, and that was for maintenance. The reopening of this tunnel will enable the flow of water into the Vaal River integrated system, which supplies water to more than 5 provinces in South Africa, like Gauteng, Mpumalanga, Northwest Free State, and the Northern Cape. Honorable Chairperson, I've also been engaging with water services authorities to ensure that they meet their constitutional obligation in terms of water-related service delivery, and in the worst-case scenario, management of essential water and sanitation infrastructure. In the meantime, government is implementing reforms through legislation such as Water Services Amendment Bill, which will soon be presented to Cabinet, the National Treasury's reform of Metropolitan Trade in Services Program, and Phase 2 of Operation Vulindlela are also in place. Lastly, the Department of Water and Sanitation has established Water Partnership Office at the Development Bank of South Africa to assist municipalities to contract for public-private partnership. And that's what we are encouraging now, that they must be able to bring resources from the private sector and contract with independent water producers. This will make it easier, quicker, and cheaper for municipalities to enter into partnership. The resolution of the water and sanitation DABA will be taken into account as we go on the implementation of these measures, particularly using the district development model. I thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Deputy President. The follow-up supplementary question shall be asked by Honorable Teza.
No, thank you very much, Chairperson. And thank you very much for paying homage to a scholar like Ngugi Thiong'o. But what comes into mind, Deputy President, is a phrase that says that nothing left to steal from him. I find it quite ludicrous and curious sometimes when you are talking to the issues of reform rather than radical transformation, given the urgency of them and the magnitude of the situation. Deputy President, rural communities are often neglected in discussions about water security, and there seems to be a deliberate negligence and sabotage of our water systems, as each year budgets are allocated for the maintenance and creation of new water infrastructure. Yet every year, we witness service delivery failures in water and sanitation, so much so that it almost seems as though the GNU is on a deliberate path to privatize water supply, mirroring the disastrous handling of state-owned entities such as Eskom, Transnet, and the South African Post Office. What urgent steps of interventions have you taken since coming into office to avoid water crisis in rural areas such as those found in Amatole, Alfred Nzo, and OR Tambo in the Eastern Cape, as well as Temsileani, Tabachweu, and Chief Albert Lutuli municipality in the province of Mpumalanga, where the water crisis is worsening? Thank you very much, Chair.
Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Keza. Yes, we are pushing for radical transformation in all what we do. The Triple P model is really to ensure that we assist municipalities with funding. One of the biggest problems, Honorable Keza, is that a lot of municipalities are struggling with resources to provide water to their communities. And by modeling some of the intervention through Triple Ps, we will be able to bring in the necessary funding from the private sector to assist the municipalities to be able to provide water. We are not privatizing. The municipalities will remain primarily responsible for water authorities or as water authorities, but the Department of Water and Sanitation is also responsible for a number of water authorities itself as national government. But we need to be able to bring more resources. The rural areas, you're quite right. For many years, the rural areas were left behind, but we are there now. I have myself traveled to a number of rural areas. The minister, if you check her program now, she's always out there to ensure that we don't leave rural areas behind. We must make sure that rural areas have access to water. So we're not going to neglect them, but we take your point that if there are people who have had a big challenge in accessing water or clean drinkable water, people in rural areas. So we agree with that, and that's why we are focusing there. We will be visiting a number of these areas. You will recall that we went to Limpopo, we were in Tzaneen, we did go to the Free State, Jagersfontein, we went to eThekwini, but also some of the rural areas in KZN. So we are paying attention to rural areas. I think for us, it's important that everybody in this country must have access to water, not just people in urban areas. And it must be clean, drinkable water. Not ukuthi abantu bayophuza amanzi ney'nkomo. It must be clean, drinkable water. And we are putting all our efforts to ensure that that, in fact, remains the case. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable President.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Deputy President. We're now proceeding to a follow-up question. The next speaker on my list is Honorable Mabibo.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Honorable Deputy President, much of South Africa's water and sanitation infrastructure is old and poorly maintained, leading to leaks, breakdowns, and decreased water quality to communities. This is exacerbated by inadequate funding, poor maintenance of existing infrastructure, and challenges in coordinating service delivery and infrastructure maintenance at different levels of government. My question, does government have mechanism to monitor the implementation of the National Infrastructure Maintenance Strategy as policy framework for national and provincial infrastructure maintenance? To what extent are government departments such as the Department of Water and Sanitation, Public Works and Planning, monitoring and evaluation, overseeing and report on the development and consistent implementation of infrastructure maintenance plans? Ke a leboga, Motlotlegi Tautone, Motlatsa Tautone.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mabibo. Over to you, Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Malebo, for the question. It is true that in many areas of our country, water infrastructure is quite old. And as a result, you end up with the problems that we are having today. Honorable members may be aware that, for instance, in Johannesburg this weekend, there is concern about water because Rand Water is doing maintenance. And I think they've issued a notice that people may not have water this weekend, which is a problem. The intention is good, but it comes with a problem. So how do we resolve it? One of the suggestions that we have for water authorities is that when they do maintenance, they must make sure that they use material that is durable to ensure that we don't always come and do maintenance. I know for now is because they are replacing some water pipes are as old as 40 years and so on. But even the material that was used at the time is not the kind of material that is available today. The city of Johannesburg actually did something quite good in recent years. And I saw them because they were coming to where we are staying and they were putting the water pipes that looks like plastic, but quite durable when they say it. And they were replacing the old concrete ones. And I'm sure those of you who are mayors in here will probably testify to that the material that is being used now is durable. It's going to take us forward to many years. So it's important that old and particular old infrastructure should be replaced. But Honorable Malebo, I think what we must do as well is to say to water authorities, there should be regular maintenance of the system so that we don't wait until it collapses. But this thing of changing big pipes and all of that should not happen every now and then. You know, you must put this pipe for many years, and then you can maintain the system to ensure that, people's lives are not disrupted again and again. I'm sure those of you who are coming from Gauteng are now worried about this weekend when you go home, whether you'll have water. The intention is good because they are fixing, but it comes with a lot of disruption to people's lives. So it shouldn't be done very regularly. But the maintenance of the system must be sustainable, material must be durable, because people can't live without water. You know, there are many things you can live without, but if you don't have water, you can't wash, you can't cook. It's a big problem. So thank you very much, Honorable Malebu. We are giving a lot of attention to this matter. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
No, thank you very much, Deputy President. We are now proceeding to the next follow-up question from Honorable Ryder.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. There's water in Midvaal, in Gauteng. Deputy President, thank you for your responses. But on 4th of November in 2020, I raised the failure of the PLENARY municipality to provide services with the Deputy President, the previous Deputy President in this House. I did it again on 11th of March 2021 with him. Mr. Mabuza acknowledged the problems and he apologized to residents here. He visited the municipality and he pledged substantial funding to help fix PLENARY. The South African National Defence Force was deployed and the Section 139 interventions by Gauteng was reinvigorated. Deputy President, you and I engaged here in a question session soon after your election as Deputy President, and you also went to PLENARY to look for yourself. Rand Water was sent to deal with the sewer spillages, and the construction sites there became active again for a short while. I'm very grateful for the interventions from yourself and your predecessor, but honestly, Deputy President, the situation on the ground has worsened. Waste collection has ground to a halt. Sewage still runs in many streets, and even the mobile toilets that the Gauteng government brought to the Ramaphosa informal settlement have not been serviced since Valentine's Day. Deputy President, the Vaal is decaying. There have been 2 failed 139 interventions by the provinces, and the new Operation Vulindlela version 2 mandate is apparently limited only to metros. Deputy President, this cannot continue. As leader of government business with a responsibility for rapid response interventions, will you please encourage the Minister of COGTA to intervene directly in the municipality in terms of Section 1397 of the Constitution? Thank you, sir.
Deputy President, I think this is the plea that the Honorable House Chairperson is making, and there's no specific question that has been asked in that relation. And accordingly, unless if you want to comment back, I can afford you that opportunity, but there hasn't been any question asked in relation to that. So it's up to your discretion. Maybe you want to respond to what he has just said.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, and let me thank Honorable Ryder for the plea. Well received. I will send my team down to the Vaal to see for ourselves what's happening and intervene, because you have acknowledged that, you know, my predecessor, Deputy President Mabuza, went, sorted out things. I also went. Now, if there is a reversal or decline, we need to quickly intervene. But what I will do, Honorable Chairperson, is to ensure that we use the district development model so that I get the Premier, the MECs, because sometimes you go as national government, you leave, and so what? So it's important that we get the province to be able to remain doing follow-up, and the municipality itself, the Sidibeng municipality. But thank you very much for alerting me about this challenge. I will attend to it. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President. We are now proceeding to the last follow-up question on this question, which has been asked by Honorable Peter.
Thank you, Honorable Chair of this House. Manbuli is a president. I will speak English today, President. Don't worry. Deputy President, we have reached a point in this country where the constitutional promise of access to clean water has become a distant dream for millions, President, especially in rural and peri-urban areas. Communities in Kwamakoma and Makanda continue to suffer unbearable conditions. Some villages go weeks without water, and residents are forced to rely on unsafe rivers or wait in long queues for trucks. This despite hundreds of millions being spent on infrastructure, President. Yet the government has been making empty promises with no tangible outcomes on this issue. My question is, President, do you honestly believe that the government's current pace and approach to this are adequate, given the scale and urgency of this crisis, President? My last question, what real and enforceable oversight and accountability mechanism have been introduced to ensure that funds intended for water infrastructure are not wasted or mismanaged or left unused, and that those responsible for this chronic failure are held to account, President? And goes.
No, thank you very much for the question. I'll now afford Deputy President to respond.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thank you, Honorable Peter. We will attend to this matter. One of the things that the Minister of Water and Sanitation has done and continue to do very actively is to visit the areas. So I'll impress upon her to look at Makoma and Makanda. That's where your big worry is. If there are resources spent on infrastructure, a lot of resources, then we should see progress. If there's no progress, then it's too worrisome. But I did say earlier that the minister has also set up an office which will help with this kind of oversight, because she obviously also won't be able to go there all the time. And you recall that one of the challenges with water is that you don't have an MEC for water in a province. So it's something that we are looking at, because you have MEC for Cocta, for all other things, but not for water. And the minister has also raised it to say in some provinces, the MEC for Cocta then deals with the issue of water. In some provinces, it's different. So it's an area that we are looking at, particularly to ensure proper accountability and oversight. That's something that we have to deal with quickly. But I've made a note about Kwamakoma and Makanda, and I will inform the minister to be able to. I'll also work with her. I've got a team from the presidency that whenever there are these challenges, they go to these areas quickly to see what's happening. So they will also do so. And in fact, they are in the house now listening, so they can hear you. So they know that they must go down to that area. But others, thank you very much for the question. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, DP. We have concluded on this question, number 9. We are now proceeding to question number 10, which is asked by Honorable Ndlovu. She is asking as to whether the Government of National Unity has ever discussed the District Development Model Policy Framework. Over to you, DP.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Ndlovu, for the question. The district development model, as we all know, is the whole of government approach in resolving service delivery challenges, amongst others. We've decided that we're not going to deviate from this policy because it ensures that we effectively respond to the challenges that are faced by communities in a more coordinated manner. The DDM approach is a constitutional imperative as it advances the principles of cooperative governance and intergovernmental relations. Honorable Chairperson, in as far as support to municipalities is concerned, particularly to areas like Tabazimbi local municipality, as it was raised, I just need to give honorable members some information that the new municipal council was duly constituted on the 12th of December 2024 following successful by-elections, which automatically led to the lapse of Section 129 intervention. So that intervention has lapsed, but it is an area where we've decided to send a team to work with the municipality to look at the challenges, or rather to address the challenges that they are facing. Hence, Tabazimbi local municipality is currently receiving support from national government, provincial government. So the DDM model is being used to ensure that we intervene there by giving support from all spheres of government, from national and provincial as well. We are coming up with plans that will assist Tabazimbi and similar municipalities. In fact, the Minister of COGTA has already identified a number of municipalities where there's already intervention. And there are plans that are focusing on this intervention. And one of the things that we're going to do is to strengthen governance of these municipalities, to strengthen institutional capacity, financial viability, so that we can accelerate service delivery, but also ensure economic development in these areas. An interministerial committee has been established by the President that will focus on a turnaround strategy for municipal performance, and is led by the Minister of COGTA. So there's already intervention in that regard. Honorable Chairperson, the implementation of DDM, as I said, remains a priority of government. So this interministerial committee will work with provinces and municipalities. All the MECs of COGTA are part of this intervention, and the mayors are also involved. We therefore call upon all our district municipalities to focus on implementation on what we call one plan. So one plan is for catalytic projects within their district. We therefore encourage collective planning by all spheres of government, including collaboration with our traditional and cohesion leaders, particularly in the rural areas. Let's work together. This one plan is the way to go to deal with the challenges that we face in our local areas. Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thank you to Honorable Ndlovu for the question.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. Honorable Ndlovu, do you have a supplementary question?
Good afternoon, DP and Chairperson and colleagues. Thanks very much, DP, for your response. I think I don't have a follow-up question because you were able to cover everything that I wanted to raise.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Ndlovu. We're now proceeding to Honorable Brett, who will ask the follow-up question.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Deputy President, given that the district development model has failed to turn around collapsing municipalities, even in its own pilot districts, and considering that local councils like Tabazimbi have become dysfunctional because of excessive political fragmentation and unstable coalitions, will you support the introduction of minimum electoral thresholds in municipal councils to promote stability, ensure service delivery, and prevent further governance paralysis?
Is there a question, Honorable Brett?
Yes, Honorable Chair, the question is, Honorable Deputy President, will you support the introduction of minimum electoral thresholds?
No. I don't
That
want
is
you
the
to
question.
start afresh from the statement.
That
I
is the
did not
question.
hear any question that's been asked. I just wanted to ascertain if I heard you correct. So it would seem like I heard you correct. Deputy President, there hasn't been necessarily a specific question that has been asked by Honorable Brett. He just made a statement which you may or you may not respond to if you so wish, Deputy President. Honorable members, can I please urge you, you spend a lot of time explaining on what has already been asked to the Deputy President. Can you please try and be concise in terms of your opening statement? Go to the questions, because this session is about questions. It's just a mere exception because the Deputy President, he's a very humble man and very generous. He is responding necessarily to things that he's not supposed to respond to. So please, let's try and be concise and stick to the questions. Please, I'm humbly requesting that we do that. Over to you, Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. What I've heard from Honorable Brett was that DDM has failed. I don't agree with that. This is a new way of working that we have started, and my observation wherever I've gone to, it's working. There's a lot of enthusiasm. The premiers come out with all MECs. All the mayors come out, and we align our resources, our plans. We intervene in that manner. Even in the Val, when we went there, it took that form, where the premier was there, MECs, same as the Free State, KZN, and everywhere. So I don't agree that the DDM has failed, but I didn't hear what you were proposing. I look at, maybe you'll tell me some other time. But we are doing well.
No, thank you very much, Deputy President. We're now proceeding to Honorable van den Berg. No, sorry. My apology. The next speaker on the follow-up was supposed to be Honorable Kennedy. He has since requested Honorable Siwisa to stand in on his behalf. Over to you. My apology.
Noted, Madam Chair. Thank you very much. Deputy President, the DDM was introduced in the 6th administration. And since the introduction, we've seen municipalities like Ditsobotla collapsing, Salt Lake municipality being downgraded. So, Deputy President, the reality which we are faced with as a country is of municipalities which have collapsed under the leadership of the GNU. And as such, the upliftment of struggling municipality will likely depend on a unique, specific approach of each municipality and outcomes of ongoing policies. In light of this, which options or strategies has the Government of National Unity explored within the existing framework to address the needs of struggling small municipalities? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Siwisa. Over to you, Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Siwisa, it is true that there are municipalities that are facing serious challenges. Ditsobotla is one of them, and some of them for quite a long time now. But there is an intervention that is driven by Minister of Kokta. These municipalities have been identified. I think the first group of municipalities was 64 that he identified that needs intervention. Some of the municipalities collapsed because of bad administration, not proper governance. Some of them are struggling with resources. They don't have an economic base. So the intervention by the minister is zooming into those kind of areas. And this is one of the matters that Cabinet was addressing this week. We are going to get the full report from Minister of Kokta in terms of what actually is the problem in Ditsobotla. Is it governance? Is it lack of economic viability? Is it corruption? Is it lack of capacity? And then we address those issues because the report we received from the Auditor General, I'm sure some of you saw her on TV also last night talking about local government. We are looking at that report and it's telling us what are the problems in those municipalities where they are challenged so that we can zoom in exactly, deal with the issues that are a problem in those areas. So we are going to look at all these municipalities. The solution may not be the same for all of them. It will depend what the problem is when we zoom in, and then we will zoom into that particular problem. Where we realize that there's a capacity problem, we'll ensure that that is also addressed, including looking at whether municipalities appoint a proper CFO, city manager. But we're also going to be able to look at whether the political leadership is right. But sometimes it's not the officials of the municipalities, also the challenges of the political leadership that is not capable to run a municipality properly. So all those things are going to be addressed. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you
Honorable
very much, DP. We are now proceeding to the last follow-up on this question, which is asked by Honorable van den Berg.
Thank you, Chair. This time I'll ask my question first. How can the burden of an extra layer of government through the DDM lead to increased service delivery and jobs, when we know that service delivery does not take place on local government level due to non-payment of municipal accounts and therefore no infrastructure development because of a lack of cash flow? Does the government honestly believe that this intervention can make a difference, given that no real results were achieved in trial programs, or are we just enlarging government expense? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable van den Berg, for that wise move. Over to you, Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. The Honorable van den Berg, if I heard you well, you're saying that our intervention of the DDM, focusing on local areas, is not yielding results. Basically, that's what you are saying. We're using a wrong approach. Now, let me explain again. The DDM does not say fix things at the local level and that's it. The DDM approach, it's the whole of government. I think I used that word. the whole of government approach. So in other words, we are holding hands. We are saying, the city of Johannesburg, you have a water challenge. You're going to work with the province. You're going to work with the national government. We're all moving in. And it's something that we're going to sustain. It's not that we're going into a local area and say, oh, we see you have problems in Mangaung, see how you fix it. No, what we are saying is that we are coming in to work with you. That's what the DDM says. We are coming in to work with you. We are holding hands. That's why we talk about one plan, so that we don't come in as national government and say, no, this is how we can fix the problem. And the province thinks, no, we can fix it this way. And the municipality say, we can fix it that way. We want to, let's do it together. That's really the approach. So I can assure you, it is succeeding. You will see as we go on. If you visit some of those areas where you have been before, you go now, you'll see there's real progress. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. We are now proceeding to question number 11, which is asked by Honorable Mukwena. She has asked your response in relation to the allegations of corruptions that were leveled against you by certain political organization. Over to you, Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Mukwena, for raising this matter so I can clarify once more. Honorable Mukwena, allegations are exactly that. They are allegations. But let me take forward by saying the most important things when there are allegation is proof, right? And mainly through courts of law or to ensure the authenticity of the allegation so that we can get to the conclusion on the matter if one is guilty or not. Indeed, you are quite right. There have been several allegations against me. What I've done, Honorable Member, I've subjected myself to the necessary processes and institutions. I received a letter from the Ethics Committee in Parliament that said, we've seen all these allegations in the papers, can we respond? I did so. I even went to my own party. The ANC is the only party that has an integrity commission, I suspect. It's a fact. Yeah, other parties can learn from us. So I went to the Integrity Commission of the ANC and also explained to them. There are other institutions, of course, that get involved when there are these kind of allegations, but I haven't heard from any of them. But let me assure you, Honorable Member in the House, that I will continue to subject myself to the relevant institutions as established through our own constitution. I issued a statement on the 11th of October that was published in response to some social media issues that were out there attacking my character. I actually have that statement with me. It can be forwarded to you. So, Honorable Chairperson, in conclusion, let me say one of the issues raised in the questions is how do I ensure that we maintain transparency and restore public trust? I've appointed one of the officials in my office to ensure that the register that we keep every year for declarable interest is timely updated every year, because there was an allegation that I did not declare certain things, which was not true. But we will ensure that we timeously update. The media team as well in my office is ensuring timeous response to the press and issues that come on social media. I want to conclude by affirming my unwavering commitment to fully cooperate with the Ethics and Integrity Committee of Parliament, as well as other law enforcement agencies or state institutions that may require clarity on any matter concerning these allegations or other allegations made against me or any member of my family. I'll continue to do so. Thank you very much, Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Mukwena.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. I now afford Honorable Mukwena an opportunity to ask a supplementary question.
Thank you for that response, Deputy President. Ngomhla 12 February 2024, i-Democratic Alliance yakuvulela icala lenkohlakalo emaphoyiseni. And there's growing concern ukuthi emva kwalokho niphinde nahlala nabo decide ukulala embhedeni ewodwa nibe i-GNU. So okusho ukuthi ukuvula kwayo leyo cala kubanga ukucabanga ukuthi kusho ukuthi khona into ye political score eyayenzeka ngoba niqhubekile nahlala nabo. So umbuzo uthi iyiphi into ozoyenza njengoba si-approacha i-election conference yenu njenge-ANC, iyiphi into enizoyenza ukuvimbela abantu from abusing ama-state resources to settle political scores? Thank you.
Deputy President, you are the Deputy President of the country in this House, not the Deputy President of the ANC. Any question pertaining to what you've been asked, it must be in relation with the work of Parliament insofar as accountability is concerned. And therefore, I would simply request Honorable Mukwena that the Deputy President can't respond on ANC matters in this House. So therefore, that question will not be answered.
Sorry,
Thank you
Chair.
very much. No, you said iqembu lenu le-ANC azange
Chairperson,
uthi
I asked a
umsebenzi.
question about what is going to happen, what is the government going to do to ascertain ukuthi no corrupt, no
Honorable
political scores.
Mukwena, let's
was a
avoid the
previous
dialogue.
question.
You had an opportunity to ask a question, but what you ask, we will revisit the Hansard so that we give you exactly what you said. But maybe you add, but your error has costed you. And as a result, the Deputy President is accountable to the people of South Africa in this House. He's accountable to his party in his party, not in this House. And therefore, I humbly request that we proceed with the next follow-up question, which is asked by Honorable Ngumalo.
Inkomu mtsamashitulo wa indlu ya hina NCOP a ni khense ku va ni nyikiwa nkarhi lowu ni pfuxela eka DP na hinkwavo lava nga la endlwini. Leswi ni nga ta swi vula i ku ni tsakisiwile hi ndlela leyi mi nga answera hi kona swivutiso swa hina. Ku huma eka mina a ni na xivutiso no khensa ntsena. Inkomu.
Ikhentsile swinene Honorable Ngumalo. Ikhentsile swinene Honorable Ngumalo. We are now proceeding to the next follow-up question, which is asked by Honorable Kotsal.
Thank you, Chair. And in my preparation, I certainly used the correct punctuation mark. So if you'd like to see, there's a question mark at the end of this. Deputy President.
You asked the question verbally, not in writing. These are oral questions, not written questions. So that punctuation, if it's misplaced, the deputy will not respond.
I was just trying to help you, Chair. Deputy President, your reputation for being aggressively protected appears to extend itself beyond your blue light convoy today. As the Deputy President of our country, you will appreciate that ethical leadership demands more than legal innocence, that it requires a person in a leadership position to avoid even as much as a perception of impropriety in order to maintain public confidence. If you agree with this statement, Deputy President, and here is the question, will you provide this House with an undertaking to proactive transparency and voluntarily submit yourself to, over and above the Ethics Committee, publicly disclose your full financial interests?
Over to you, Deputy President.
Well, thank you, Honorable Chairperson, and thank you, Honorable Godson. I'm not aware that I'm aggressively protected. Yeah, I'm not aware of that. But let me just say that, you know, I've been a member of parliament and legislatures for many years. And it is the ANC that introduced this approach that we must declare our interests as members of parliament, as MECs, as ministers, and we do that all the time. So anybody who wants to know about my financial interests, what do I own, where do I live, it's all there in parliament. I don't know what else you want to know. It's all there in parliament. I've disclosed where I live. I haven't told them how much I have in my bank account. Maybe they can show you. It's all there. So we shouldn't worry about those things because parliament did not say I must go and declare those things somewhere publicly in newspapers. They say declared here. And by the way, the declarations also have the confidential section for your spouse or your family members. Same in parliament and executive, it's all there. Maybe if you want to know, you can go and ask the speaker if you want to look at, I don't know if they'll allow you, but it's all there. So I can't then go out publicly and say, hey, as Paul Mashatile, this is how much I'm worth, this is what I have. No, there's no need for that. I declare to Parliament and to the President, and that's it. And thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister. We are now proceeding to the last follow-up question on this question. Honorable Machobeni.
Thank you very much, Chairperson of the House. Greetings to the Deputy President. Thanks, Deputy President, for your response. We will wait for the day to clean your name with these allegations. Nonetheless, Deputy President, it has become clear that there's numerous political officials at national, provincial, and local level that exploit their public office for personal benefit. And the state institutions, which are intended to empower youth and workers, are instead used as deployment zones for loyal cadres and family members of the ruling elite. What recent steps of intervention have you taken to ensure that this tendency is stifled and that actual tangible repercussions occurred following such conduct? I so thank you.
Almost related question, but it's a new question that has been asked to you, Deputy President, which does not necessarily speak to the issue at hand that we're discussing. So this relates to everybody else who's a public representative. And accordingly, I would request Honorable Member in the next written questions or oral questions that are to be posed to the Deputy President, you then raise the question that you have given, and accordingly he will come before the House and respond to the question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you.
We are now proceeding, Deputy President, to the last question on the order paper, which is question number 12, asked by Honorable Baines. She is asking Deputy President as to whether the City of Cape Town, working with the departments of national departments in a form of collaboration and in implementing the rapid response measures and the intervention to address service delivery challenges that are facing the township residents of Gugulethu Ilanga in the said municipalities. If not, why not?
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, and thank you to Honorable Baines for the question. Honorable Chairperson, the Intergovernmental Relations Act mandates collaboration between all spheres of government to deliver services to citizens, requiring the national government to work with all provinces to address service delivery challenges. The City of Cape Town, like other metros, should invest in the building and upgrading of infrastructure, which is aimed at benefiting underserviced areas. This seeks to address unequal spatial development patterns, thereby promoting the quality of lives of all citizens. These projects, initiated by metros, are being undertaken in collaboration with national government departments, including here in Cape Town, and they are also in line with our district development model that we are implementing across all provinces. We are, however, concerned about continuous challenges faced by a majority of township communities and informal settlement within the City of Cape Town. Townships and informal settlement within the City of Cape Town face significant sanitation challenges due to factors such as inadequate infrastructure, legal constraints on service provision, and socioeconomic barriers. In this regard, the Department of Water and Sanitation and the City of Cape Town have been collaborating to address ongoing water and sanitation service delivery challenges, particularly in light of infrastructure overburden, environmental consideration, and socioeconomic disparities. Efforts to enhance water and sanitation services includes initiatives to improve communication between the City of Cape Town and residents, particularly townships and informal settlements. The City of Cape Town and the Department of Water and Sanitation have continued to collaborate also to address public health, environmental, and the dignity of affected communities. The partnership is centered on infrastructure upgrades, policy reforms, and community engagement initiatives aimed at strengthening wastewater management and improving service delivery. Honorable Chairperson, since 2024 December, national ministers and deputy ministers have also undertaken oversight visits to assess disaster responses and project implementation. This includes disaster intervention in informal settlements such as Dunun, Joslovo, Kailicha, Luandle, Nomzamo, and Imizamo Yethu. More recently, Minister Thembi Smelane has also visited phase 2 of the Conradi Park social housing project in Cape Town as part of government intervention to address service delivery challenges in previously disadvantaged communities in the Western Cape. I've also been advised that the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure has signed a memorandum of understanding with the City of Cape Town to establish a collaborative framework aimed at enhancing infrastructure delivery, governance, innovation, construction, and facility management. This will further strengthen partnership by aligning with national strategic objectives, fostering intergovernmental cooperation, knowledge sharing, and capacity building to drive sustainable development and improve service delivery. And lastly, these collaborative projects highlight the critical importance of continued infrastructure investment, effective land use management, and strengthened intergovernmental collaboration to ensure sustainable basic services, particularly in vulnerable communities and informal settlements across the province. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Deputy President. The supplementary question will be asked by Honorable Baines.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good afternoon, Honorable Deputy President. My question is also about service delivery challenges, and forgive me, some of them might be repetitive, but it is crucial. We are in the Western Cape, and I think I structured my question so that people from the rural area watching us can hear what I'm asking. So, Honorable Deputy President, the collapse of municipal services in the Western Cape has resulted in an environment where criminals take terms, infrastructure development projects are lucrative extortion opportunities for organized gang, and gangs collude with government officials, result in the stalling of critical infrastructure projects. Residents are left at a disadvantage while criminals and corrupt officials thrive leafy suburbs, where those in leadership positions make meaningless promises of a well-run Western Cape province and make deliberate decisions to ignore certain areas because they do not part of their voting constituencies. Deputy President, my question, however, is whether the government has considered outlining a clear township service delivery plan to address the decline in local governance in many municipalities, especially in the Western Cape, restore service delivery in the townships in the Western Province, and bridge the racial and economic divide between the leafy suburbs and the townships. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Baines. Over to you, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Baines, for the follow-up question. There is a light at the end of the tunnel because, as I said earlier, that there is now a sort of acceptance by the leadership of the Western Cape that collaboration with national government is very important. I know that at some point I visited, I was in Khayelitsha and I was very unhappy with sewer running on the streets. And I made a comment that the province is neglecting these areas. And Helen Zille was not happy with me. She issued a statement that as if I'm talking something that is not true. But I'm quite happy now that I think there is cooperation. The ministers from national government are coming and they will come to your areas. They are coming. We are dragging the Western Cape leadership with us. We are dragging them. Let's go and fix things. Because it's important that we must not just focus in the cities. We must go in the townships, informal settlements, and address to challenges there. But I'm happy, Honorable Baines, that they are there now. Yeah, the ministers from national government are here. They are working with the Western Cape to address these problems, including in those rural areas that you are concerned about. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Deputy President, for the response. We're now proceeding to the first follow-up question to be asked by Honorable Swart.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and good afternoon, Deputy President. As you said, there's light in the tunnel. It's not light in the tunnel, Deputy President. There's always light in the Western Cape. There's always light. Mr. Deputy President, given that Cape Town has a South African record infrastructure budget of 40 billion rand over the next 3 years, 75% of which will directly benefit lower income households, including the townships and informal settlements. And in today's newspaper, said Cape Town again, the only metro out of the 8 received a clean audit. The only metro that achieved a clean audit in the 2024 book years. The question, Deputy President, what measures are in place to improve the pro-poor infrastructure spending in other cities to catch up with the city of Cape Town, which is outspending all 3 Gauteng metros combined on pro-poor infrastructure? I thank you. Yeah, question there.
Thank you.
Order, honorable members. Can we get to the business of the day? Honorable Swart, the question that you have asked, it's not in relation to the initial question that was posed by Honorable Baines to Honorable Deputy President. And accordingly, I would request that in his second appearance, you ask that question to the Deputy President and he will then respond to it at that point in time. We are now proceeding to the next. What is your point of order, Honorable Badenhorst?
Madam Chair, there's nowhere in questions, and I'm referring to the section on questions.
Honorable Badenhorst, what is your point of order?
Madam Chair, I'm referring you to the
are you
section
referring
on
to which rule?
I can
Which section?
any rule.
Which rule are you referring to?
I can pick any rule. Let's go to, Madam Chair, let's go to Rule 225.
Honorable.
Rule 225. Please, Madam Chair, illustrate to this House, where in the questions do you have a discretion to decide whether a question is posing as a question or not? Show me the rule that you are deciding that upon, please, Madam Chair. Because you are protecting the Deputy President with those statements.
Honorable members, when I started, I did outline the processes in relations with the oral response in the House. And the follow-up questions should be informed by the initial question that was sponsored by the member. But prior to that, the supplementary question will have to be asked if there's anything outstanding in relation with the initiator of the question has asked. And accordingly, you cannot come with something new here and expect the Deputy President to have first-hand information of that. Obviously, he still needs to go back and look at the issues and come and present facts in the House so that tomorrow we are not accusing him of misleading the House. And therefore, we cannot trap any of the members, be it the Deputy President or the Deputy Minister or the Minister in the House. And therefore, we will adhere to those processes as outlined right from the beginning. And therefore, because your question is not in line with what was asked, hence we are imploring upon Honorable Swart to do that, pen it down through written question to the Deputy President, or you await the next session of oral reply, you then pose that question to the Deputy President. If he doesn't respond, I will force him to respond because he's got the responsibility to account to this House. But as things stand, that question has not been asked to the Deputy President, and therefore we cannot expect him to respond over something that has not been asked to him. Thank you very much, honorable members. The next follow-up question is asked by Honorable Gerike.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Chair and Deputy President. The city of Cape Town boasts a massive number of law enforcement officials to enforce municipal bylaws. However, it is concerning to note that such enforcement is absent in hotspots such as the Cape Flats, Lavender Hill, Delft, Nyanga, Khayelitsha, Gugulethu, Menenberg, and Mitchell's Plain, where gangsters congregate on the street corners and plan criminal activity. These gatherings are often against bylaws that prohibit illegal gatherings, but the law enforcement officials are doing nothing to it. What are the particulars of the agreement signed by the Minister of Police and the Premier of the Western Cape earlier this year, and how is it assisting to root out crime? Thank you, Deputy President.
Again, Honorable Gerike, that is the new question that has been posed to the Deputy Minister. So I wait for his second term and ask him that question. Thank you
Chair,
very
on a
much,
point of
Honorable
order, Chairperson.
Member. We will take
Chair.
the last follow-up question.
Chairperson, on a
Yes,
point of
Honorable
order,
Gerike.
if you look at the previous question, Chairperson.
On a point of order, Chair.
Can I just take my point of order?
Honorable Nonkonyane, can you please take your seat? Honorable Gerike, on which rule are you standing on?
Chair, I am clarifying the question above.
No, Honorable
question
Gerike,
above
you've had
speaks
an
about
opportunity to ask a question, and I've given you your
I'm rising on rule 52.
1.5 minutes.
On rule 52. Yes. Rule 52.
No.
The question speaks about national
Honorable Gerike, Honorable Gerike, I will tell you when to speak. Just hold it there. So I didn't ask you, I didn't order you to leave the House, or are you ordering me to leave the House? Can you please take your seat, Honorable Gerike? Honorable Nonkonyane.
Chair, I just wanted to rise on Rule 6(9), point of order, particularly sub-rule 12. That has been violated by 2 members already, and we have dealt with in respect of Honorable Badenhorst. But my colleague Farik is also continuing in that vein. The presiding officer's ruling on a point of order is final and binding and may not be challenged or questioned as the honorable members try to do in the House. Thank you, Chair.
You're raising a point of order.
Honorable Badenhorst, I'm the presiding officer here. You are embarrassing yourself before your knees here. Please, can you allow me to preside here? The point of order was raised prior to Honorable Gerike, and therefore I must afford him an opportunity to state what he wanted to state, which remains very relevant and very important. To remind you that once a ruling has been made, you adhere to that. If you're not happy with that, we do have the Rules Committee to look at the matter that would be before us for that is disputed. So accordingly, honorable members, in as much as you raise this, once again, I want to implore with your good self not to make follow-ups on new, bring new questions during the follow-up session, so that in future we don't repeat the same thing. If it's a new question, if the deputy, by all means, he has an answer, well and good, but we cannot force him to answer something that he has no knowledge of in terms of the state of preparedness, to avoid that in future we don't accuse him of coming before the House and misrepresent the questions. Because it's going to be us saying that, but last time when we were here on the same matter, this is what you said, and today this is what you are saying. There's no correlation between the two. Forgetting that the initial question that you asked was not based on something that he had knowledge of at the time. So please, honorable members, let's adhere to the processes and the rules of the House. I'm pleading with you. So we are done with this, and I'm taking the last speaker on this question number 12, Honorable Farmer.
Another one. Are you sure that I must be the last one?
ANC question.
Chairperson, before my question, allow me to congratulate Councillor Sandra Miller of Ward 4 in Karoo, Hoogland, who yesterday wrestled the ward away from the ANC and from the Patriotic Alliance to win that ward. Also,
honorable members, order, please, order. Can we listen to Honorable Farmer? Since you've been speaking, I've been watching him. He's sitting there attentively. He has never disrupted anyone. Can we accord him the same respect as he does with us? Over to you, Honorable Farmer.
Thank you, Chairperson. At the same time, I want to congratulate the ANC for winning their ward again in Oakip, albeit by the skin of their teeth from the PA. But also, Chairperson, out of the 4 contestants, there was a blue party who came in 5th. Shame to them. My question is, Honorable Deputy President, what specific
Coalition. Now the clock starts. Very clear.
Can you proceed, Honorable Farmer?
What specific and time-bound interventions will be implemented to restore effective service delivery in dysfunctional municipalities like City of Cape Town, ensuring that funds are spent efficiently and transparently? Thank you, Chair.
Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, and thank you, Honorable Farmer, for the question, follow-up. I did say earlier, as I was responding to questions, that the Minister of COGTA has already identified municipalities where there should be intervention, and will come up with a proposal to Cabinet. So when you ask how long will it take, when is it going to happen to restore, the work has already started. By the way, when we look at functionality of municipalities, we don't exclude the metros. We also look at the metros, because when the metros do their work, that doesn't mean they are perfect. So we don't only look at local municipalities, rural areas, we also look at the metros, including exactly what the Auditor General has pointed out. And I think it's important, Honorable Chairperson, that members should go through the report of the Auditor General, because it's very easy to say, oh, this one got a clean audit, this one not. No, go through that, because what the Auditor General does looks at all functional areas of a municipality. So you may get a clean audit on particular areas and not on others. So read it properly, then you will understand what's happening. But that work is also now been done by the Minister of Cocta working with other ministers, and they are going to report to Cabinet on the interventions we are going to make, because local government is really at the coal face of service delivery. That's where our people are. So we must get it right. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. Honorable delegates, we have come to the end of our questions, and we would like to take this opportunity We would like to take this opportunity once more and thank the Deputy President for coming to the House and give account to the work that he is doing. Order, honorable members, the sitting is still in session. Honorable members at the back, can you please take your seats? Thank you. Once again, we want to thank you, Deputy President, and your entire entourage, as well as the Council, for being with us at all times when you are supposed to be accounting to the House. And thank you, honorable members, for making yourself available for this important work that we are doing before the NCOP on behalf of our provinces and the entire people of South Africa. Having said that, the sitting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Recording stopped.